What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Boulevard Brewing Company, and they're out of Kansas City, Missouri, and this is their Spiced Imperial Stout, and this is the 2023 limited release. So they're calling this one a Spiced Imperial Stout that is aged in Apple Brandy Barrels. It comes in at 15% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed, time of review, and this bottle is approximately 3 months old. However, it does have a please enjoy by date of August 28th of 2025, so almost 2 years. We should be good. So for me, when it comes to Boulevard, I feel like their barrel age game, very underrated. Very underrated. And recently, what was trying to think of the festival. It was the Festival of Barrel Aged Beers. They won, I'm pretty sure, a gold medal for their barrel aged, was it Doppelbock? I think it was a barrel aged Doppelbock, which is awesome to see because I think their barrel age game is very strong, and they're always well priced, especially from a bigger brewery that gets good distribution. So recently they just came out with their barrel aged mixed 6-pack that included this, their rye on rye, and their barrel aged Vietnamese porter. And I picked up a bottle of each, and I'm starting with this one. Why? Because in the description box on tap, but I also think on their website, they do say that some barrel-aged Boulevard fans will be happy with this one, and they mention Brandy Land. Now, I reviewed Brandy Land on the channel, and it was very similar to this one. It was a cinnamon-infused, double-mashed Imperial Stout that was aged in both bourbon and Apple Brandy Barrels. This one, not a lot of information. That was 12.4%. This is 15%. If this is like a bigger version of that beer as far as ABV goes, I'm really happy because that was one of, if not the best barrel-aged beer I've had from Boulevard. Hands down. It was fucking boozy apple pie. It was so delicious. So we're going to review this one, and we're going to see how it is. Probably do the rye on rye and then the Vietnamese barrel-aged porter. Anyway, let's pour this one into the glass and see what we got going on here. So yeah, it's not that dark. It's pouring out more like Coca-Cola or like root beer, but at the same time, it still looks pretty damn delicious. So it's not pouring out like straight motor oil for 15%, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, let's get a look at this one. Yeah, there's sheets of alcohol. This is definitely, holy fuck. That is coating the glass. Again, my camera's not great, so I don't know if you'll see there's like dips as I swirl around. It just like coats the glass, you'll see. And it's probably gonna come off slightly on camera, especially if you're watching on a bigger screen, but like, it's just like oil stuck to the side of the glass. That is crazy. So this is in the glass. On camera, it's gonna look pitch black. In person, it's a very dark brown. Again, like a Coca-Cola or like a root beer. There's a quarter finger of this dark brown, let's just say straight up brown colored head. It looked pretty creamy. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, there's like a light brown here at the bottom, slight ruby red hints, but for the most part, it looks fine. It's a 15% Imperial Stout. Maybe hoping it was a bit darker, a little bit more motor oil as far as the pour is concerned, but at the end of the day, whatever. Let's get a nose. It's boozy apple pie. It's exactly how I remember Brandy Land being. It has a lot of like rich complexities just from the Imperial Stout by itself. There's chocolate, there's roast, there's coffee, there's molasses, there's caramel, there's toffee, there's brown sugar, there's caramelized sugars. But then it's all blanketed by this apple pie feeling from the Apple Brandy Barrels. It's just apple, and it's beautiful. A little bit of vanilla, a little bit of oak. Ooh, the chocolate's there too. It's like you almost had a piece of apple pie and you just drizzled like fudge on top of it and then like caramel. Kind of like the nose. It's maybe not that rich in the nose, but it's not far off. Oh. It smells so good, and it does not smell like 15%. Does it smell like a big boozy beer? Yeah, 15%? Fuck no. It does smell like it's going to be sweet, but it's 15%, and I kind of figured that's going to be the case. There's a touch of like a spice. Would I say cinnamon? Maybe in the cinnamon kind of like Yeah, probably more cinnamon. I was gonna say cinnamon, maybe ginger or clove, something in that realm. Again, they call this a spiced imperial stout, so there's something spiced in here. It's probably cinnamon. This is probably very similar to the Brandyland, just at a bigger ABV. And maybe they don't do both bourbon and apple brandy. They did apple brandy casks and bourbon barrels. I don't know if this is, again, the same beer with just a bigger ABV, but it's kind of smelling like it. Oh. There's also a slight, very slight, like tart kind of like green apple thing. And I don't think that's a brewing fault as much as just probably the apple brandy barrels. Oh, dude, now I'm getting like an apple crumble. Like, this smells divine. It smells awesome. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. It's so fucking good. That first sip took me on a roller coaster from front to back of the palate. Like I got a huge blast of, again, like a boozy apple pie, and then I started getting complexities from the base beer. And then the back of the palate, the apple brandy hit me again, but it finished it off with like the barrel itself as opposed to the spirit. There is a huge warming into my stomach, not even my chest. Like, it bypassed my chest and went right into my stomach. I don't know how that works. All right, let's go body and mouthfeel. Buying this one is not like full-on crazy body. This is like medium full. It's 15%. I would say it's a bit thin. I always keep in mind with barrel-aged beers, though, you could probably brew the most viscous imperial stout, but if you're aging in brandy barrels for quite a long time, and I think the Brandyland was 12 to 24 months of aging. So if this gets the similar treatment, you thin out the beer a little bit, and I think that's kind of what's happening here. So it doesn't have that like thick motor oil, viscous, oily kind of mouthfeel and body, but it's still a really nice body mouthfeel. It's not super thin. It's just thin for 15%, I guess is the best way to put it. The mouthfeel, decent carbonation, mild to moderately carbonated, smack dab in the middle. It's very smooth on the palate for something that's 15%. And it has not really any creaminess, but I think just the mouthfeel itself is nice for what I'm looking for out of a beer like this. So mouthfeel is pretty solid overall, and body a bit thin, but again, I think it's solid. The taste, it's fucking awesome. The taste is awesome. It's so complex, and each sip I'm getting something different. So I'm gonna try to break this down to the best of my ability. Keep in mind, my ability is not great at this. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you watch the channel, you know too? Yeah, I know. It's apple pie. It has, again, it's a boozy apple pie. There is cinnamon. I'm tasting cinnamon in the taste, as opposed to in the nose. I wasn't, sold on cinnamon. In the taste, it's boozy apple pie. There's the base beer. So right from the palate, like the easiest way to explain it is just boozy apple pie. It's the predominant note. It's everywhere. It's omnipresent. It's never, I would say, like the biggest note on my palate aside from that initial blast. It kind of hits me right at the forefront and then dives underneath the palate and kind of just simmers there for a bit and then pops up on the back. But it's like boozy apple pie at the forefront. After that, I get the Imperial Stout. It's roasty, it's toasty. There's chocolate. It's more of like a baker's chocolate or like a 60 or 70% cacao bar. There's some coffee roast as well. There's a little bit of that caramel toffee, molasses, brown sugar, caramelized sugar thing going on. Maybe even a touch of, there's some dark fruits in there. Yeah, some dark fruits like a cherry, maybe a plum, something of that, in that realm. As it continues to pass through, the Imperial Stout part of the show, the portion of the show just starts to dissipate, and then the barrel starts to creep in. And it's a tart apple, like a very slightly tart apple. It's a sweet apple. It runs the gamut of what you expect. It'd be like if somebody gave you a slice of like a Granny Smith and then like a Red Delicious and like just combine those flavors. There's a little bit of vanillins in there, the vanilla and oak. And as it starts to fade on the palate, I get this nice like semi-full-on oak tannin dryness that's not too big. And it has a mild to moderate bitterness. I would say smack dab in the middle, kind of like the carbonation was the same thing. I think the key thing to this beer is there's a big balance of this one going on. It's a very cohesive beer. Everything blends together very well. Excuse me. On the back of the palate though, that boozy apple pie hits me again. So like the sweetness kind of like dives underneath the palate and wraps around. On the back of the palate, It's just a lingering, boozy apple pie with a little bit of like barrel, I would say barrel char, if anything. There's like a little bit of like a charred barrel, touch of vanilla. It's like you took an apple pie and you had this like bourbon vanilla whipped cream that you just threw on top of it. And that's the finish. And it's awesome. It really is. If I was a better beer tuber, I would have went and looked at, man, that last sip was phenomenal. And again, this is right out of my darker beer fridge. They tell me what to serve it at, and a lot of breweries will do that. They do not. So my darker beer fridge, I typically keep around like low 50s, like low to mid 50s. So it'll vary, sometimes 52, 54. And I grabbed this right out of the dark beer fridge. So it's probably in the 55, 60 range right now. And it's drinking phenomenally well. It's cool but not cold. It's kind of like, almost cellar temp at this point. And it's the flavors are opening up, especially since I poured it in the glass and whatnot. And I think as I continue to sip on this, it gets more and more complex. It's so fucking good. And here's the beauty about this. Don't take this in a negative way. Anybody who likes Boulevard, or if anybody from Boulevard ends up watching this is, I hate to say it, this is a shelf turd. And what I mean by that is when I say shelf turd, it's an endearing comment. It's a beer that will sit on the shelf for a long time, maybe even months, if not years. Nobody will pick it up. They'll pick it up and they'll be like, what the fuck? Boulevard, their barrel age program, it's pretty fucking good. It's just plain and simple. It's really good. And this beer, if this is just a bigger version of Brandy Land, I see why. Again, I should have went and looked at the Brandy Land review. I did not. I think I like that slightly more. But this is also 2.6%, right? I think that was 12.4. Whatever, it's like 2.5% bigger ABV. And here's the beauty. I really don't get that on the palate. There's no huge astringency. Do I know this is a big barrel-aged fucking beer? Yes. Does it scream 15%? It does not. The only concerning thing to me is in my stomach, each sip, it's warm in my stomach for some reason. It's weird. But outside of that, it hides the alcohol relatively well for the ABV. Listen, if you can get a single of this, do so. If you can buy that barrel-aged mixed six-pack, I would say do so. You get 2 beers of each. And we'll talk about price point and availability, but it's typically around $5 for a bottle of this, which is fucking absurd. That's a great value, in my opinion, for something that's 15%. I think the other ones are in the 12, 13, 14 range. I don't know. Yeah, I'm so happy I picked up a bottle of each. I might have to go pick up another bottle of this and age it. I don't know. It does say it's please enjoy by August of 2025. So I don't know. Rating. I don't know what I gave Brandyland. This is what's happening to me nowadays. When I review beers that are this big and I drink, 2/3 of them through the review, I start feeling it. I start stumbling my words at the end. You'll notice. This has happened a couple times recently. I'm a lightweight now. If you don't follow the channel, I had open heart surgery back in 2021. I have a mechanical aortic valve. I can't usually drink more than 1 beer a day. So what happens is I review beers like this, and I'm a lightweight. And at the end of the review, I'm already feeling it. Right now, my face is red, or feels red. I shouldn't say my face is red because I don't know, but I feel red. I feel warm, and yeah, I'm starting to slur my words already. Fucking lightweight, unbelievable. So this beer, I don't know. I don't know what I gave Brandyland. I know it was one of my favorite Boulevard beers of all time, and this is right up there with it. I don't know if this is better or if this is worse. I don't know. I think I like the Brandyland, off of memory, slightly better than this, the original release. But I also don't know what I rated this. And this is also 15% to 12.4, so keep that in mind. So there's Spiced Imperial Stout, the 2023 Unlimited release. I'm going to give this a low 4.75. I'm going to go 4.7. This is fucking right in my wheelhouse. Will everybody who buys this enjoy it? Probably not. There's a couple things. You need to enjoy A, Imperial Stouts, B, spices like cinnamon, that I'm pretty sure cinnamon's in here, and then you need to enjoy Apple Brandy Barrels. Because if you don't, then you probably shouldn't pick this one up. But if you do, give it a go, especially if you see it. Price point availability. I saw a couple 6-packs, a couple different places. They were anywhere between $25 to $28 for the 6-pack. I bought each one of my bottles for $5. So let's say I bought 6 solo bottles, that have been $30. So, a little bit more expensive when you buy singles. But for, 5 bottles, or it's for if you buy that 6-pack around here, I think I saw it for $26.99, $27. So you're talking for, $4.50 a bottle, $4.75, all fucking day, every day for something that's a 4.7 out of 5, like all day, every day. And availability is Boulevard. If you see Boulevard products, you should see this, although it probably is not going to make it in everybody's distribution area. Luckily, there's 2 or 3 places that I did see this here locally in the Buffalo, New York area, so I was able to grab a bottle of each. And like I said, I'm going to try to go buy another single bottle of this because this is just me. Like, one more sip. I want to make sure I'm not fucking up with the rating here. Yeah, it's boozy. It's boozy apple pie with a bourbon vanilla whipped cream. If I'm sure that exists, everything exists. And then someone drizzled like a dark chocolate syrup or like fudge on top. It's 15%. I'll be fucking in the dirt by the time I drink the rest of this. Kudos Boulevard. They just do really good barrel-aged beers. And I have the other two I'm going to review. I also have their Cranberry Tank 7, which we'll see. Tank 7 is one of those like classic American beers that we'll see how the cranberry does with it, but I'm going to review it. Anyway, I'm going to shut this one down. Hopefully you can tell by now, this is probably a longer review, probably 15, 16, 17, fucking 20 minutes, I don't know. But I think a beer like this deserves it. This is probably going to be on my list for the best beers of 2023 when I do them here at the end of the month. And for a good reason. I think this is a fucking awesome beer, and I can't tell you enough how much that I recommend this beer, especially if you like spiced imperial stouts or barrel-aged imperial stouts in apple brandy barrels. Get yourself some. Anyway, I'm going to shut this one down. Thanks everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. In the description box, if you've had this one before, you had Brandyland, if you've had both of them, which one did you prefer? Did you see, did you think this one was kind of in the same realm as the Brand? I need to shut this down. This is slowly going downhill. By the time I'm done with the rest of this, I'll be fast asleep. But again, description box, let me know. Appreciate it. Till the next one. Cheers.